20 to 2 in the morning now, and it's pouring down with rain outside. I absolutely love being in a tent in the rain. It just feels so nice being warm and cosy and dry in here, and literally feeling a couple of inches away. Just the other side of the fly sheet is cold and wet and inhospitable out there, and there's just this thin layer, well, two thin layers of protection and about a couple of inches of difference. I just love this. Soon after I got into my sleeping bag last night, it felt really cosy and warm, especially with that hot water bottle warming up my feet. And after about 10 minutes or so, I started getting disturbed by the wind blowing down through the open end of my bike bag, rustling in it, quite loud actually. And it plays mind tricks with you. You're in here in the dark and you just think somebody's out there tampering with your bike. And even though I knew it wasn't, it just, once you start thinking that, I just knew I had to go outside and move it. So what I did was moved it horizontally. I've just laid it on the ground and make sure it's really sealed up. So I now know that's out there anyway, not getting drenched in the rain. Hello, good morning from Burrington Combe. It's now 7:30 a.m. and it's been raining heavily since about 2 a.m. when it woke me up. Although it's now only very, very light fine drizzle. It's almost stopped, and that's exactly what the forecast predicted. That is the Rock of Ages over there, and you can see there's like a fissure that goes up through it. It's almost layered, isn't it, diagonally? And on this side you get another example. This is almost like a little sheltered cubbyhole where the limestone just forms these shelters, and that is actually the origin, supposedly, of the hymn Rock of Ages. As well as the Mendips being an AONB, an area of outstanding natural beauty, Burrington Combe, with all these limestone rocks and caves dotted all along its length, is also I always struggle to remember this, an SSSI, a site of special scientific interest. For me, it's just a lovely, lovely place with plenty of memories. So it's just a place of beauty. This is the view from my tent porch. That's looking across that fissure going up. That is the Rock of Ages. A little bit about the Rock of Ages. Legend has it that Augustus Montague Toplady, who was the curate at Brighton, sheltered in this rock during a thunderstorm in the late 18th century and was inspired to write the hymn Rock of Ages. However, this story only became public after his death, and it's disputed, and that there's no actual proven evidence. Fess up time now. Although I went to Sunday school as a child, I'd never heard of the hymn Rock of Ages. I first became aware of the term Rock of Ages probably as a 15-year-old because I liked the group Queen, and one of their songs, Brighton Rock, featured the line, "Oh Rock of Ages." I've got the stove on, heat some water up for a coffee, and then I'm going to do a Wayfarer all day breakfast. I will be eating that out the bag this morning just to save on the washing up and the space. Last night, the chocolate pudding after that lovely meal, I just couldn't bring myself to eat that out the bag. A couple of things I would say about winter camping is, one, that everything takes so much longer, sometimes because you're cold, or maybe you're trying to avoid getting wet or wetter. And just secondly, like now, on a summer's day, I would probably be doing much more outside, walking around, even drying things out outside. At the moment, I'm in the tent. It's quite cramped in the porch, and I'm trying to do everything, you know, which includes getting into my trousers and putting my shoes on, and just everything takes, I would say, at least twice as long as normal. And the second thing is, I said last night, I don't cook with the Whisper Light petrol stove in the winter, I use this camping gas stove. The reason is because the flame is less volatile, it's much easier to control. What I would say is it's tempting to pull the door down and cook in a closed porch, but I never do that. When I used to work at the gas board years ago, they would call carbon monoxide the silent killer, and it's damaging to your house, and it's also very, very dangerous. It can actually kill you. So I just make sure when I'm cooking, even today in a semi-closed porch, there's plenty of ventilation like this to avoid that. "8:30 now. I've had my breakfast and I'm just really enjoying sat in the porch of my tent with a coffee, just looking at this wonderful scenery. It's stopped raining. In fact, the sky even looks, it might clear up there above the hills. I've got all day, so I'm in absolutely no hurry whatsoever. Last night was perfect really, because I said in the night I actually love being in a tent when it's raining. I just love the contrast between being in a warm environment and a harsh cold environment, literally just inches from your nose, and that's emphasised more by the pitter patter on the fly sheet that you can hear. But even at home when it's pouring down with rain, I'll quite often like kneel right next to a window and put my nose up against it almost to get the same effect. When I first arrived yesterday evening, I leant the bike up against the rocks there, unloaded it, and then just wheeled it into its bike bag, and the back was open facing that way, and I referred to it earlier on. The wind started blowing down and almost like trying to inflate it like a balloon. It was making a lot of rustling noise. It just sounded like someone was trying to steal it, even though I knew logically what was happening. I just think that noise would have kept me awake, to be honest, so I just moved it down, laid it that way, sheltered from the tent, and it's fine. Looks like it's got a bit of a puddle in it, so I'm just going to get it upright, put it back up against the rocks. I've even left the panniers on there actually, so I'm hoping to load all my kit straight into the panniers on the bike. And there it is, back up against the wall. Might as well keep the bulk of the bike inside in the dry in case we do get any more rain. Everything seems really nice and dry. Thank you, British Airways. As I thought, the sky's cleared. That blue sky. I've seen several more cars come down with snow on their roofs though. Just made myself a second cup of coffee. We've even found a natural coffee cup holder formed in the rock. So I bought 4 litres of purchased water, 2 2-litre bottles at Burrrington, and it's worked out perfectly. I'm just boiling up the last of that to do my washing up, just the cups and the cutlery. That's the last of my water boiled up. With some detergent in there and a sponge. It's got an abrasive top on it, scouring top. This is an old tube of travel wash I bought from Superdrug many years ago. I just take the top off it and fill it up with washing up liquid at home. That's my camping gas stove, all folded up, ready to go away. The tripod legs just to stabilise it. I did say last night that I buy one of these camping gas. It's a mix of butane and propane canisters, and as soon as I've emptied it, I just use that for storage and top it up with one of these. So I'll show you how I do that now. It's with this little valve I bought off eBay for about £2. You just literally, you put the female end in there, the male end goes in there, you squeeze and it'll transfer that really cheap gas into here. I would say this is only butane. This is a mix of propane and butane, so I wouldn't mix the two. I wouldn't fill this up and mix the two until that was completely empty. It's probably okay, but I just wouldn't do it. I've now attached that valve. You've got to be careful, there's a loose rubber washer on there. You just marry the two up, press, and you may hear the transfer. That's now transferring the cheap gas from the long thin cylinder into the camping gas container at the bottom. Well, it's 10 to 10 now, and look how nice the day's starting to appear. Lovely blue skies. There's a bit of a chilly wind. So this is the famous Burrington Combe climb. Goes on for about 2 miles, takes you up onto the summit of the Mendips. And I wasn't going to ride home that way, but I've decided I will, because I've seen some cars coming down with a layer of snow on them. So there may be snow up there, or if not, you may see it in the distance. The views and the atmosphere up there are fantastic. As soon as I get there, after about a mile, I'll take a left-hand turn and start dropping straight back down towards Chew Valley Lake and come home a slightly different way. I've washed up all my cutlery and crockery, going to start packing it away. It all packs inside itself fairly well. So inside the inner pan, more to stop it rattling than anything and just to utilise the space, I'll keep my washing up sponge, a rubbish bag and a J-cloth just to wipe anything down that's particularly wet or muddy. That's looking back the way I came. Where the gates are, that's where the cattle grid is. Toilet block there. Then my little pitch is up there, right under these amazing cliffs. This is the view from the gravel car park. You can see, well, that's a favourite with rock climbers. They come here. Quite often you'll see youth groups being taught how to rock climb and abseil down there. Stunning. Just about make out my tent. In fact, that's not even my tent, that's my bike bag. Pretty well hidden from the car park. So this is the view from the Rock of Ages this morning. There's the plaque, and there's the cleft. You can see sunlight coming down from that lovely clear blue sky. Look at these trees just hanging on there. Looking back south, you can see the trees very wintry, with that orange glow to them. Amazing cliffs. There's my tent. The amazing rock formations of the gorge. I've always preferred Burrington Combe to Cheddar Gorge. Cheddar Gorge is just a little bit too commercialised for me. I know tourism is a very important industry, but for people who just want the beauty of nature without all the add-ons, this is a wonderful place. I have to say that toilet block was very welcome. First of all, it meant I didn't have to dig a latrine in the middle of the winter, find somewhere discreet, and also I was able to clean my teeth. The tap water flowed very, very slowly, so I don't think it's mains. It wouldn't be safe to drink, but it's okay to wash. The other thing is, the cubicle was very, very large and actually quite warm, so I took my cycling kit back down there to get changed. It saves trying to get changed in a very cramped tent, so that was very welcome. I did notice it's a community run toilet, and they say it costs £4,500 a year to maintain, so there's a donation box. I mean, that sounds a little bit excessive, but it served me very well. I'm going to go down and put 3 or 4 quid in there actually and contribute towards it. So that's the right thing to do. My cook set consists of 3 pans. I've got this Vango kit. I bought it from, yes, you guessed it, Millets. It's 2 pans, one sits inside the other. I'll cook food in the bigger one, and I'll use the smaller one for nothing other than water, so there's no food taste on it. It's got foldable retractable handles, and any form of rattling drives me round the twist, so I just literally hold everything down with some strong elastic bands, and it just doesn't rattle in the slightest. And the frying, it's got its own stuff sack there. The frying pan just has a foldable handle. You can even use that for storage, just again to stop it rattling. That's my 2 bags of camping clothes packed away in their stuff sacks. The down jacket, the fleece, all the trousers, pants, underwear, socks, everything. Packed down really small and also really spongy, so you can use it to force into the panniers just to stop everything else rattling around. It was the same with my cycling kit. I bought a spare pair of shorts, undergarment, socks, and I've just taken that out of its dry sack, put yesterday's dirty kit in, again folds up, packs really small. I'm almost ready to drop the tent. You may hear the wind's picked up, so although it's a problem in one way, it's a benefit in another. It's actually drying the outside of the tent, which is really good. I'm not saying it's going to dry it completely, but it's going to be, once I've got the fly sheet down, that's going to make it easier to get in the stuff sack. So I've said before in some of my camping videos, I'm quite forgetful. So to compensate for that, I try to be super organised. So when I set the tent out, it may seem a bit geeky, but I sort of imagine 4 quadrants. So my food would go in this bottom quadrant, and it would spill out here with all the cooked stuff. That side would be my washing equipment. Up the left hand side is normally my sleeping mat and sleeping bag, and at the back right will be all the stuff sacks. Then you'll see there's a pocket at the back and 2 side pockets here. I put all the things I'm likely to need in the night, like my valuables, my knife, my torch, my watch, glasses, that sort of thing in there. So when it gets dark, I can just find everything easily. And this morning when I was packing up, I just know where everything is. That's the inner tent dismantled. Came down very easily and folded up. I've just weighted it down with the stone and a bottle of drink. All the stuff sacks are underneath. You can see now the benefit of this tarpaulin, and same with this kneeling mat as well. I can kneel and just not be covered in water. So now for the tricky bit, to get the fly sheet down and packed away. That's the fly sheet down. It's still staked out at the 4 corners, so there's no way it can blow away. What I do to make sure the pole bags and the peg bags don't blow away, I just stuff those in my shorts. When you need them, you know exactly where they are. So now it's a case of taking out the 4 pegs and folding it. I'm going to have to air this when I get home, so it doesn't have to be a particularly technical fold. Just get it folded quickly because the wind is starting to pick up. That's the tent packed away. You can see the beauty of this. That's it then, all packed away. Left absolutely no trace. Taking all my rubbish with me. That's it in that rubbish bag. Everything, all the water bottles crushed down, all the food residue from last night. There is a bin down there. I'm going to go and get rid of it in that bin. I'm also going to put all my loose change in the donation box towards keeping those toilets open. That way I feel I haven't just freeloaded here. I'm giving something back. And then a ride up the Combe. This is the top car park at Burrington Combe. It's called Burrington Ham, and you can get a good view up there. Just over that hill line is Blackdown, which is the highest point on the Mendips. I did a wild camp up there once. Just through that track through the trees, it opens up into quite open farmland, and as you drop back down towards the village of Burrington, that's the location of what used to be Burrington Youth Hostel. It closed in 1954, so it's long gone. About 2 years ago, I replicated a journey by a Mabel Pratt who cycled toward there in 1948. In fact, I had to have 2 attempts at finding it. First one, I tried this, the walker's approach. The second attempt, I followed this route that Mabel had described in a diary, and I arrived at it by bicycle from the lower approach. And it was a stunning location. The house is still there. You can even see a tin shed, which was an old army barracks which had been moved up there for accommodation. It's actually used to store wood now. An amazing location. A few hundred yards from the summit of the Burrington Combe climb, looking up there, you can see Blackdown Hill. Just over there is the highest point on the Mendips. Some amazing views down there over the Somerset levels, Bristol Channel. And that way you can see the 7 bridges, and there's snow on the top of the Brecon Beacons, Black Mountains. And over there, right in front of us, is Bristol Airport. I've just seen the orange tail fin of an EasyJet. Gonna zoom in and see if I can get a better view of the snow on the hills. Wow, look at that. I've just turned left briefly off that main road, the Burrington Combe road. Apologies about the wind sound, but hey, look at this view. You really are about to plunge down a very steep drop here. You can really see the Brecons and the Black Mountains there. Once again, good view of Bristol Airport. An EasyJet's just come into land. Right below us is Bragton Lake. You can see it just popping out through the trees. And then there's Chew Valley Lake over there. I'm going to head along this road about another mile or so, and then there's a left-hand turn which will pretty much do the same as this, and then it will go along that way and drop me down much closer to Chew Valley Lake, and I'll make my way home from there. I'll wrap up the video here because I think it's going to be a long one actually. Hope you've enjoyed it. As usual, thanks very much for watching.